memories have power, and we don't just remember events. They also get stored in our sensories. So that means what we saw, what we heard, how it felt like, how it tasted like, what it smelled like. And they end up in one way or another impacting or influencing how we respond, and also the impact that it has on our body. So for us to be able to understand better what I'm trying to say, we are going to be unpacking the story of Peter. That is the moment when he denied Jesus and the moment where Jesus restored him. So in the Bible, we look into the story of, where is it? It's in the book of Luke, chapter 22, from verse 54. And this is a time where Peter denied Jesus. So during this night where Peter denied Jesus, even though it had been foretold there's someone who's going to deny him, but there are so many things that were happening that Peter was able to pick beyond language or beyond logic. So during this time, when he was moving around where Jesus was going to be crucified, one, we see first it was at night. That's one. Number two, where he had sat, where there was around people, there was fire. So that means there was warmth, a certain type of warmth. Because one, it was at night, so it was cold, but where he sat, there was warmth. So now we see one of the sensory organs. Are they called organs? Yeah, I think so. One of the sensory organs was touched, the one that he felt. That is one. Number two, he was in a public place. So even when he was verbalizing and talking about that he doesn't know Jesus, he was in a public place. So that means there were witnesses around, and for who heard his denial. Another thing, we remember that the cock crowed. So that one was sound. Okay. Another thing, the cock crowed. So there was fire, the cock crowed, and also it was in public. And also during the time of the day, it was during very early in the morning. So it was also the time where his fishing was taking place. Now hold that thought, because I'm going to come back to it. Now when you look at the story of Peter, this is going to be a memory he's going to remember. So for him, it could have been that fire would have never been the same. The message that fire would send may not even send only warmth. It would also send that the fact that he denied Jesus. The time of day would not only send the message that, maybe it's 3 a.m. or it's 4 a.m. in the morning or whatever time it was, but it would also take him back that he denied Jesus. Him being in public, even though people would just look at him randomly, or people are just having a conversation and they're not actually talking about him in one way or another. Maybe he could have just it could have just been a reminder, a constant reminder. What I'm trying to say, all these events that happened during that day, or everything that was connected to Peter during that day, could be a constant reminder that he is the person that denied Jesus. So from this memory or from this event, Peter would have continuously been seeing himself as a failure, because he was among the people who would actually be the first one to maybe die for Jesus. But here he denied Jesus. He would have been battling with shame. He would have been battling with guilt. He would also have been battling with loss of identity, or even anticipation of rejection, just from this one memory. So this one memory would have really, really changed how Peter thought about himself, how Peter thought about his circumstances, how Peter thought about the public or being in the public space. So you see, his sensory organs would have already stored all this kind of information, and nothing would have remained the same for him. Now this is where the uniqueness of, or how God comes in to redeem our memory. It's in different ways, but let's first look into what he did to Peter. So it's very interesting when you read, I had written it down, John 21, that when Jesus now came back after resurrection, he came almost during the same time. So we are not told the time that he came, but we can see it was the time they were fishing. And when fishermen fish, they really go very, very early in the morning. It is in the wee hours of the morning, like 3, 4, 5, the wee hours in the morning. And that's when Jesus comes. Number two, they had not, that day they had not collected, they had not fished any fish. They had not gotten any fish from the sea. That's what I'm trying to say. That's another thing. And another thing, when Jesus came and he was trying to call them, even though they had not really identified who he is, but they identified later, he had sat at a place where there was fire, because he was actually roasting one of the fishes when they were coming. And then also there were so many other people. It's not only Peter who was there, but there were also other disciples who were there. So when Jesus came to restore Peter, he created like the same environment that Peter had encountered during the time of his denial. So now there was fire. Now there was also the wee hours of the night. So it is also not recorded about the rooster crowing, but during that time, it's kind of the time where it crows. So that's another thing. So what am I trying to show is that when Jesus came to redeem him, he created like kind of the same memory, but now with different information, with different feelings. So now when Peter was asked if he knows Jesus, he was asked like 3 times and he denied him. But now when also Jesus came in terms of restoration, he asked him like 3 times if he loves him to go and feed his fish. So you see the 3 times that he came and asked him about if he loved him, he go and like restoring in essence a way of responsibility to him. It is countering the time where also he denied Jesus 3 times. So 3 for 3. So the 3 times he denied Jesus, the 3 times where Jesus is reminding him who he is and the responsibility that he has that Jesus gave him. So you see now these are 2 ways. So if Peter had stayed stuck in the first memory, he would have continuously been in this loop of feeling rejected, feeling like a failure. All these feelings that I had mentioned earlier, like shame and guilt. That is the type of life that he would have lived. So every response will be coming from shame, guilt, rejection, and all that. But now when Jesus came again, he created another memory for him. So now the warmth of the fire would not be a reminder again of the denial, but it would be a reminder again of the responsibility. So God came and gave him a new information or a new memory from it. Now, one thing you'll be able to understand is that every memory has an emotion attached to it. So you just don't only remember an event, you also remember it emotionally. That's why you can remember something and all of a sudden either you are in a bad mood. You can remember something or all of a sudden it makes you respond in a different way, even though logically maybe you have maybe grown and done your healing in one or another, or in the process of your healing, but in one way or another you end up reacting, not in terms of what you know now, but in terms of what you knew then. Why? Because you need to be able to understand the organ or the sensory organ that holds the original memory most of the time detects your emotional response. So when it comes to the healing process, we don't only try to forget or try to remember or try to look into what we remember in terms of what is in our mind, but we also need to understand the senses that we carry. So for example, to make you understand that the original memory majority of the time influences your emotional response or influences how you respond. So for example, if you came from an abusive environment, maybe you did not see the abuse taking place, but maybe you heard the voices, the sounds, and everything. Now for you, your hearing, your hearing organ is the one that carried that memory. So any form of hit or any form of sound for you becomes a trigger. Why? Because it takes you back to the original memory that is being carried in that sense. I don't know if I'm clear. The original memory that is being carried in that sense. For example, if you saw but you did not hear, hearing is not going to be a problem for you. What is going to be a problem for you is what you saw. And now so many of us are not stuck in terms of, and that's why you might find sometimes you can really focus also in the renewing of the mind, which is pretty okay. But we can also focus in the renewing also of our senses and trying to teach ourselves in terms of how we hear, how we see, how what it smells like. For example, if maybe abuse happened, maybe it was physical abuse or maybe it was sexual abuse, whatever kind of abuse happened that affected you in terms of how touch is. So even though you are in a good and a healthy relationship, touch for you does not mean it is always going to remain the same until maybe your partner over and over and over again, beyond just telling you maybe they will not hit you, beyond just telling you that this is a safe place, but them continuously ensuring that their touch is safe. So their touch doesn't look like a hit or anything, like continuously their touch is safe, because no matter what they say, if you don't feel safety in terms of the touch or how you feel, then in one way or another your emotional response is going to be off. So yes, there may not be violence, but the moment they touch you, you are on high alert. You know, your alarm is already on, either to fight or in one way or another. So for some of us, our healing, it's also going to take us into also tending into our sensory. So a good example that I'm going to give, it is from the story of Elijah. This is during the time whereby he had the time of the fire that came down and also took the sacrifice during the prophets of Baal in Kings chapter 19. I think is it 2nd Kings or 1st Kings? But I know it's chapter 19. I think I didn't write, but I know it's chapter 19 somewhere. So when Jezebel said, because King Ahab went and told Jezebel what had happened, and he had told them like the false prophets, all of them, you know, they had been killed by Elijah, because after now they saw that the God of Elijah is the real God. Elijah gave instructions that they should all be murdered. So when King Ahab went and told Jezebel that this is what has happened, Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah and told him that told him about what he's going to do to him because of what he has done. And I'm paraphrasing, because of what he has done, and now because of what he did, and the way it sounded is going to be even horrible than what Elijah had done. But this is the interesting part. When you read, I don't know other versions, but the New King James Version, my physical Bible that I have, the next statement says is that when Elijah saw that. Now this is the question. He was not shown anything. He was told something. But what he was told for Elijah, it's not about what he was told, but it's about what he saw. So you see, even though he was told something, the effect or what led to his emotional response is not about what he had, but it was about what he had previously saw. So what had he seen? He had seen how those prophets of Baal had really been murdered, and it was really a horrifying thing. So it didn't matter what the message was. The original sensory the sensory that had carried the original memory, it is what he saw. So it doesn't matter what he had. What he saw, it is what that influences his emotional response. Now, going back to the relationship scenario. So this can look like, it doesn't matter how much your partner will tell you he will never hit you, until you continuously see that he will never hit you. If you grew up in an abusive home where you saw maybe someone being hit, or you are being hit, so until he continuously makes you see different, no matter how much he tells you might not be of so much influence. Or for example, let's look at the family of God. For example, if you grew up in an environment, and I don't know why I keep on giving examples of baby growing up, but majority of the time it's about our upbringing, where you saw a lot of scarcity. Like a lot of scarcity in terms of either food, in terms of either financially, in any form that you saw scarcity. So even if we have been redeemed in God, sometimes we really struggle in terms of surrender, because we really want to take control. We want to be independent. Why? Until God continuously shows us. And that's why it is written that we give thanks to the Lord and do not forget his faithfulness, or do not forget his work. Or one of the way we are told we can be at a better space if you're going through something is gratitude and remembering what he has done. What is God really trying to teach us here? It's because he knows that memory holds power. So he will continuously, in one way or another, prove himself over and over and over again. Why? So that he can overcome, I don't know if that's the right word, but he can give us a new memory to hold on into, unlike the previous memory that is controlling our responses in a negative way. So another way we can be able to look into, so you see now Elijah now, it's not about what he saw, it's about what he had. So the question is, what original memory, or in terms of our senses, that are you holding on to, maybe consciously or unconsciously, that is really affecting, or it's really controlling your emotional responses or your response in terms of life or way of life? Another thing, another story we can look into is the story of Gideon. You know, Gideon, during the time that he lived, it was a time whereby their enemies had really taken over their place. So they used to live in caves. There were so many, like the enemies came in so many. Actually, the Bible talks about the way they were like locusts. They were camping like locusts, showing like they were like coming in large numbers. And so when they came, during the time when the angel appeared to Gideon, he was even really hiding when he was threshing the wheat near a wine press, so that he is not seen, because being seen, you know, it could like cause a lot of drama. And now when the angel came and he was telling him, you are a man of valor, and he was like, no, like he couldn't believe. Why? Because there are things he said we are the weakest, and also we are the least in terms of he's the weakest, and they are also the least in terms of the clan. And now later you see how he goes and tells him, if really you're the one who has called me, I need you to stay here until I come back. He goes again and also says, if you're really the one, this fleece that I have placed here, let it have water, let the ground be dry. And then he comes again, now for the last time, I want the ground to be dry, but this fleece to get water. When you look at all these scenarios, it's like Gideon was battling with memory, because I know what I have seen. And for me to be able to be certain it is you and it is you who are sending me, I need to see different. I need to see your power, because I've already seen the power of these people. So that's why even when Christ was coming, or when the angel was coming and telling him about who he is, he was like, I really don't think so, because of the things that I have seen, until he was able to see different. And that's the same case, because some of us are struggling with identity, not because of the things that we have heard God call us, not because of the things that we read in the Bible, but it is because of the things that we have seen, we have heard, we have felt, or even we have smelt, and they are keeping us in terms of in ways that we are, or they are putting us in a situation where they are able to control the narrative. They are able to control what, because you see, the nervous system, which is a communication system, it holds on to the memory and to the experience. And that memory and that experiences tells it, or it's the one that directs it on how to communicate, even with regards to the body. So it's going to be very important we understand that even as we walk in this journey of healing, that we also look into what could be the carriers of our situation, or what memory of where in terms of the sensory has it been stored, that is the one that is controlling the narrative. Because when we are able to understand that, then we realize that healing will not only take by only renewing the mind, but also in helping ourselves, either in terms of our senses, or either our touch. Now we give meaning or different meaning to our touch. Now, therefore, some, like Peter, the memory can be recreated again. For others, the memory may not be created again, and it's going to be upon us to maybe teach ourselves anew into giving meaning, so that this the memory is not in control of our responses. And one way we can be able to do that is by practicing mindfulness. Now, being aware of the here and now. So being aware, okay, here I am, maybe I am in this relationship, and constantly trying to remind yourself, I am not in danger, this relationship is not abusive, where I am is where I was abusive, but here I am is not where is abusive. Because the more you continuously feeding new information to yourself, either recreating new memories that give new meaning and counter the other old memory. In those ways, it's going to really help us in our healing journey. So the question is, what part of your sensory carries the original memory that is really controlling your emotional response? Because some, for us, will need to be renewed.